has got the illegal reaction. If it's quicker than 0.1 of a second, that is not deemed humanly possible. Now, he can choose to run under protest, as Amani Lansico did yesterday in the women's 100 metres. She finished third and qualified, but it was then the disqualification was upheld. And this would be a real shame for Mendy, because he was one of the best looking qualifiers yesterday, and that is such a shame. Is he going to exercise his right to run under protest? I'm not sure. Third from the right-hand side. Yeah. It wasn't the most blatant false start, but the numbers and the eye doesn't lie. That is such a shame for the Senegalese athlete. He looked brilliant in qualification yesterday.
Luis, Francois Mendy was absolutely delighted with his personal best yesterday. He was so excited and perhaps just sensing an opportunity here, but the start is so important in the high hurdles, and the margins between these men are going to be tiny when we whittle it down for 8 for the final. Luis Francois Mendy would have known he needed to get a perfect start. These men are experienced. This won't rattle them one bit, but we have got an empty lane 4. Mate in 2, Chakir in 3, Roberts in 5, Izumaya in 6, Ajura in 7, Pirelia in 8, and Bennett in lane 9. Athletes taking their time, settling into the blocks. Start. And now away this time. Good start from Daniel Roberts. He's got the lead ahead of the other athletes at the moment. The Japanese athlete coming back strongly here, though, at halfway. Daniel Roberts, can he hold on in the second half of this race? Daniel Roberts, that was better, but not good enough. Shinsuke Izumaya of Japan, textbook racing again. It's not lightning quick. 13-16, that's a mark that many of these men are capable of. But Shinsuke Izumaya dealing with the pressure, dealing with that false start, the best. He takes the win just ahead of Daniel Roberts, but that was smoother off Daniel Roberts. I'm nervous for him every time I look at the last few flights. There's hurdles all over the track for lane 7. That was Tade Ajura of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. But those two are 2 automatic qualifiers. There are 2 spots available on time. Just Mate will be the first athlete to head into the queue room. Roberts just trying to clarify, if you do qualify for your next round, particularly an event like this, when it's quite soon, you go straight back into the underbelly of the stadium.
Well, it was a great start by Daniel Roberts, the semi-finalist in Tokyo 2 years ago. He has got a habit of getting disqualified. He was so in Doha and last year in Eugene. He eased up towards the line. I really like this young Japanese performer. As soon as I saw him on the Diamond League circuit, off the back of that PB in the National Champs, I thought, wow, he's going to run well. And he put Grant Holloway under a little bit of pressure at the London Diamond League. Good running by Mate to ensure he took the 3rd spot by a couple of hundredths, 13.31. He'll hope that that's good enough to go through as a non-automatic qualifier, but great running by the Japanese youngster there.
Results of the first semi-final: Shinsuke Izumaya 13-16, Daniel Roberts 13-19. So Japan and the United States safely through to the final. Just Mate of France and Orlando Bennett of Jamaica are going to have to sit in the queue room and wait and see if 13.31 and 13.34 are enough to see them into this evening's final. That's the penultimate event here in day 3. 9:40 local time.
Right. There's drama over at the triple jump. Jaden Hibbert is receiving medical attention. This is such a shame. He has opted to pass on his 2nd round jump. We're watching one of the most exciting prospects that we were looking forward to seeing in action here in the national.
His coach setting himself up here. He's so reliable. I think his reliability, for me, is what puts him as a favourite for this event. There's some other athletes, particularly Daniel Roberts of the United States. Cordell Tinch was all over the place yesterday. If they can get a smooth run, that could be interesting. Molly Caudry added 11 centimetres to her personal best to take the British title ahead of Olympic medalist Holly Bradshaw. It's following Achilles surgery in the autumn. A massively impressive return to form for Caudry. It's her opening effort at 4:35, and she gets it first time. You see the full scorecard there. A lot of athletes safely navigating for 35. They're looking for 4.65 to automatically qualify for Wednesday's final. This is heat 4. He's patiently waiting down on the track. We've seen some really fantastic times, most notably from Kemi Adekoya. There are 4 automatic spots up for grabs. It's achievable for a lot of these athletes. Femke Bol goes in the middle lane. It's one of the favourites. We talk about technique, we talk about this very technical event. Femke Bol really committed to upping her game, moving from 15 strides down to 14 in a bid to match the McLaughlin Lebron, and it has brought fantastic times for the Dutch women this season. Lane 9 sees Line Kloster, 12-time national champion from Norway. This is Sarah Carley of Australia. Big run, half-second personal best at the Pavo Nurmi Games in Turku a few weeks ago. It was a real improvement for the Australian, 54.66. Fatoumata Binta Diallo of Portugal takes lane 7, this year's national champion for her nation. Victoria Tacharuk of Ukraine goes in lane 6. She didn't make the final in Eugene and made up for it by picking up a silver medal behind Femke Bol in Munich, and then went and joined Femke Bol's training group in a bid to continue her progress through her career. Aline Demers of Germany goes in lane 5. She's run personal best over the flat and the 4 hurdles this season. Here is Femke Bol, silver medal last time round in Eugene. She's the world lead with 51.45 from the London Diamond League. That was a personal best by 0.8 seconds. The question is Femke Bol okay after her 2 efforts in the mixed 4x4, including a fall just before the finish line? Yannick Hayes-Smith of Turks and Caicos Islands goes in 3. Gary Utsun-Maya of Japan takes lane 2. And Hannah Kleiss, final athlete, the national record holder for Belgium, goes in lane 1. All 9 lanes being used here in Heat 4. Hannah Kleiss has got the tight inside lane. A great opportunity for the athlete nonetheless. Bowling for Karchuk in 6 and Sarah Carley in 8th, fastest athletes in this race. 4 spots up for grabs though. Sluggish start there from Sarah Carley of Australia, left in the blocks by Line Kloster. A bit further down the field, Femke Bol looks like she's committing to this race. I thought, could we see a conservative race from the Dutch woman, but it very much with his coach setting himself up here. He's so reliable. I think his reliability for me is what puts him as a favourite for this event. There's some other athletes, particularly Daniel Roberts of the United States. Cordell Tinch was all over the place yesterday. If they can get a smooth run, that could be interesting. Molly Caudry added 11 centimetres to her personal best to take the British title ahead of Olympic medalist Holly Bradshaw. It's following Achilles surgery in the autumn. A massively impressive return to form for Caudry. It's her opening effort. 4.35, and she gets it first time. And you see the full scorecard there. A lot of athletes safely navigating for 35. They're looking for 4.65 to automatically qualify for Wednesday's final. This is Heat 4. He's patiently waiting down on the track. We've seen some really fantastic times, most notably from Kemi Adekoya. There are 4 automatic spots up for grabs. It's achievable for a lot of these athletes. Femke Bol goes in the middle lane. It's one of the favourites. We talk about technique, we talk about this very technical event. Femke Bol really committed to upping her game, moving from 15 strides down to 14 in a bid to match the McLaughlin Lebron, and it has brought fantastic times for the Dutch women this season. Lane 9 sees Line Kloster, 12-time national champion from Norway. This is Sarah Carley of Australia. Big run, half-second personal best at the Paavo Nurmi Games in Turku a few weeks ago. It was a real improvement for the Australian, 54.66. Fatoumata Binta Diallo of Portugal takes lane 7. This year's national champion for her nation. Victoria Tachuk of Ukraine goes in lane 6. She didn't make the final in Eugene and made up for it by picking up a silver medal behind Femke Bol in Munich, and then went and joined Femke Bol's training group in a bid to continue her progress through her career. Eileen Demers of Germany goes in lane 5. She's run personal best over the flat and the 4 hurdles this season. Here is Femke Bol, silver medal last time round in Eugene. She's the world lead with 51.45 from the London Diamond League. That was a personal best by 0.8 seconds. The question is Femke Bol okay after her 2 efforts in the mixed 4x4, including a fall just before the finish line? Yannick Hayes-Smith of Turks and Caicos Islands goes in 3. Gary Utsun-Maya of Japan takes lane 2, and Hannah Kleiss, final athlete, the national record holder for Belgium, goes in lane 1. All nine lanes being used here in Heat 4. Hannah Kleiss has got a tight inside lane. A great opportunity for the athlete nonetheless. Bowling for Karchuk in 6 and Sarah Carley in 8th, fastest athletes in this race. 4 spots up for grabs though. Sluggish start there from Sarah Carley of Australia, left in the blocks by Lena Kloster. A bit further down the field, Femke Bol looks like she's committing to this race. I thought, could we see a conservative race from the Dutch woman, but it very much looks like she's sticking to that new 14-stride pattern, having to change lead legs over each of the hurdles. That was a skill she had to learn this winter. Like I said, in her bid to take on Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone, who opted for the 400 metres flat this season, and then actually withdrew through injury from that event as well. So Femke Bol has the green number for this season. She is the fastest woman so far in 2023, and she is by far the fastest woman here in Heat 4 of the women's 400-metre hurdle. She's striding away, she's stretching her legs. She had a rest day yesterday, and that was enough to bring Femke Bol back in here. And look, she ran that stride pattern all the way to the final hurdle, and now she jogs it in. Karchuk, her training partner from Ukraine, coming through for 2nd place. Hannah Kleiss, what a great run from lane 1. I think Lena Kloster of Norway, sure, overshadowed somewhat in her nation in hurdling by Karsten Warholm, but nonetheless, another Norwegian performing well over the barriers. She took 4th place.
Fantastic running there from Femke Bol. No damage done by the fall. Now we've got World and Olympic decathlon champion Dan the Man O'Brien on the infield, and he's joined by another legendary multi-eventer. Good evening to you, Dan.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks, Hannah. I am with track and field royalty, and she stands out like a sore thumb. You're sitting amongst all these Jamaicans in this red shirt, but if you want some answers, go to somebody close to it. And Jackie, you're very close to Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone and her decision to, bypass the rest of the outdoor season and not compete here and get ready for Paris. What can you tell us about that?
It's nothing I could tell you about it. I do know that Bobby is her coach, and there's an injury that she's dealing with. The most important thing is to get her healthy so she can have a long career. I know what it's like being injured and trying to push through something, and you don't know it. So Sydney wanted to compete here, but the injury itself, it just wasn't in the best interest of her, both mentally, physically, and long term.
Your impressions on Femke Bol here in the semis?
Yes, incredible race, but I miss Sydney out here. Even though this year she wasn't running the 400 hurdles, but the 400. But it's just been a great competition.
Well, we went through the heptathlon the last couple of days. Anna fought really hard, and she comes up with the silver. But, you know, what did you take away from that heptathlon, KJT and Anna Hall?
Oh, you know what? That it is great. You know, the excitement, two Titans going together. You know, Neffy wasn't here. We miss her, but, you know, I'm looking forward to, you know, 2024 Paris. You know, can you believe it? Yeah. You know, but I think that Anna fought really hard, and to give credit to, you know, Katrina, you know, after all that she had gone through, it was a great competition. That's what you want to see. You want to see people compete.
Jackie, enjoy the rest of your time here in Budapest. Thank you for joining us.
Always, Dan. Thank you.
Jackie Joyner-Kersee, what a legendary figure. Great expertise and insight from her.
Results of Heat 4 of the women's 400-metre hurdles. Femke Bol top of the pile, 53.39. Victoria Kachuk taking second place for Ukraine. Hannah Claes of Belgium in third. Nina Kloster in fourth. And Gemma Serikali. So we can see if they can advance on time. Really impressive performance there from Nina Kloster. I think that performed her season's best, back towards her very best. Here's another look at this heat map. Some fast starts from some of the athletes out of the blocks, if you like. Femke Bol
into the queue room. What a season CJ Allen has had. He goes in the first of 3 semis for the men's 4 hurdles, and that's when it gets really tasty. It's not 4+4 as it was in the heats, it's 2+2, and he'll have Kyron McMaster, the 8th fastest man in history, alongside him, the Commonwealth champion from the British Virgin Islands. Rasmus Maggie, who's made so many big semis and so many finals regionally and globally. And Jaheel Hyde, the Jamaican. Allen, though, will be the favourite for that one. He's the 4th fastest in the world this year. He's competed relentlessly all around the circuit, and he wants it to bring him glory here. So, 4 excellent heat winners. Great drama guaranteed in the semis, but which quartet from this 5th heat will be joining them? That was Knafki of Greece on the outside, 5 times a national champion. Jessie Knight of Great Britain. Sub 55 second performer consistently. Semi-finals last year in Eugene and the European Championships. Didn't finish her heat of Tokyo, but she's bounced back from then. Anna Rizakova, hugely experienced performer. Made the final in Moscow, London. Also in Tokyo and Eugene. Agata Zupin, European junior silver medalist. She made the semis back in London, but only the heats last year. Brooke Overholt, 2nd in the national championship, 4th in the NCAAs. And now to Shamir Little. I can remember her coming onto the scene as a youngster. She's now 28. The 5th fastest in history with 52.39. Just missed the podium last year in Eugene, but I think she's got a great chance this year. Nikoleta Chitseva, the national champion, she'll be on Little's inside in 3, and Anadi, the African Championship bronze medalist from Morocco.
But actually, if you've got that extra leg speed, it can be dangerous as well, and I think perhaps that's what we saw from Shamir Little today, but tearing down the back straight. That's alarming for you as well. You come up on the hurdles a little bit faster, you've got to adjust your technique, and I think Shamir Little got caught there a little bit. I think his reliability, for me, is what puts him as a favourite for this event. There's some other athletes, particularly Daniel Roberts of the United States. Cordell Tinch was all over the place yesterday. If they can get a smooth run, that could be interesting. Molly Caudry added 11 centimetres to her personal best to take the British title ahead of Olympic medalist Holly Bradshaw. It's following Achilles surgery in the autumn. A massively impressive return to form for Caudry. Opening effort at 4:35, and she gets it first time. You see the full scorecard there. A lot of athletes safely navigating 4:35. They're looking for 4 this year's national champion for her nation. Victoria Kachuk of Ukraine goes in lane 6. She didn't make the final in Eugene and made up for it by picking up a silver medal behind Femke Bol in Munich, and then went and joined Femke Bol's training group in a bid to continue her progress through her career. Eileen Demers of Germany goes in lane 5. She's running personal best over the flat and the 4 hurdles this season. Here is Femke Bol, silver medal last time round in Eugene. She's the world lead with 51.45 from the London Diamond League. That was a personal best by 0.8 seconds. The question is, Is Femke Bol okay after her 2 efforts in the mixed 4x4, including a fall just before the finish line? Yannick Smith of Turks and Caicos Islands goes in 3. Utsun Maya of Japan takes lane 2, and Hannah Kleiss, final athlete, the national record holder for Belgium, goes in lane 1. All nine lanes being used here in Heat 4. Hannah Kleiss has got the tight inside lane. A great opportunity for the athlete nonetheless. Falling for Karchuk in 6 and Sarah Carley in 8th, fastest athletes in this race. 4 spots up for grabs though. Sluggish start there from Sarah Carley of Australia, left in the box by Lena Kloster. A bit further down the field, Femke Bol looks like she's committing to this race. I thought, could we see a conservative race in the Dutch woman, but it very much looks like she's sticking to that new 14-stride pattern, having to change lead legs over each of the hurdles. That was a skill she had to learn this winter. Like I said, in her bid to take on Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone, who opted for the 400 metres flat this season, and then actually withdrew through injury from that event as well. So Femke Bol has the green number for this season. She is the fastest woman so far in 2023, and she is by far the fastest woman here in Heat 4 at the women's 400-metre hurdle. She's striding away, she's stretching her legs. She had a rest day yesterday, and that was enough to bring Femke Bol back in here. And look, she ran that stride pattern all the way to the final hurdle, and now she jogs it in. Karchuk, her training partner from Ukraine, coming through for 2nd place. Hannah Kleiss, what a great run from lane 1. I think Lena Kloster of Norway, sure, overshadowed somewhat in her nation in hurdling by Karsten Warholm, but nonetheless, another Norwegian performing well over the barriers. She took the 4th place.
Fantastic running there from Femke Bol. No damage done by the fall. Now we've got World and Olympic decathlon champion Dan the Man O'Brien on the infield, and he's joined by another legendary multi-eventer. Good evening to you, Dan.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks, Hannah. I am with track and field royalty, and she stands out like a sore thumb. You're sitting amongst all these Jamaicans in this red shirt. But if you want some answers, go to somebody close to it. And Jackie, you're very close to Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone and her decision to, bypass the rest of the outdoor season and not compete here and get ready for Paris. What can you tell us about that?
It's nothing I could tell you about it. I do know that Bobby is her coach, and there's an injury that she's dealing with. The most important thing is to get her healthy so she can have a long career. I know what it's like being injured and trying to push through something, and you don't know. And so Sydney wanted to compete here, but the injury itself, it just wasn't in the best interest of her, both mentally, physically, and long term.
Your impressions on Femke Bol here in the semis?
Yes, bad time here on Saturday night, but now it is going better. I'm miles ahead of the rest of my competitors, and Femke Bol able to jog it in over the line. 53.39, still a very fast time. And she's enabled 2 women who didn't qualify automatically from that heat, Demis and Carley, to go into the queue room. What a season CJ Allen has had. He goes in the first of 3 semis for the men's 4 hurdles. And that's when it gets really tasty. It's not 4+4 as it was in the heats. It's 2+2. And he'll have Kyron McMaster, the 8th fastest man in history alongside him, the Commonwealth champion from the British Virgin Islands. Rasmus Maggie, who's made so many big semis and so many finals regionally and globally. And Shaheel Hyde, the Jamaican. Allen, though, will be the favourite for that one. He's the 4th fastest in the world this year. He's competed relentlessly all around the circuit, and he wants it to bring him glory here. So, 4 excellent heat winners. Great drama guaranteed in the semis, but which quartet from this 5th heat will be joining them? That was Knafki of Greece on the outside, 5 times a national champion. Jessie Knight of Great Britain.
sub 55 second performer consistently. Semi-finals last year in Eugene and the European Championships. Didn't finish her heat of Tokyo, but she's bounced back from then. Anna Ryzakova, hugely experienced performer, made the final in Moscow, London, also in Tokyo and Eugene. Agata Zupin, European junior silver medalist. She made the semis back in London, but only the heats last year. Brooke Overholt, second in the national championship, fourth in the NCAAs. And now to Shamir Little. I can remember her coming onto the scene as a youngster. She's now 28. The fifth fastest in history with 52.39. Just missed the podium last year in Eugene, but I think she's got a great chance this year. Nikoleta Chitseva, the national champion. She'll be on Little's inside in 3. And Anadi, the African Championship bronze medalist from Morocco, nearest the inside in lane 2, but we're not using lane 1. So Inadi of Morocco in 2, Chikova of Czech Republic in 3, Little there in your screen in lane 4, the Pan American champion from a few years ago. Overholt, Canada in 5, Zupin, Slovenia in 6, Ryzakova, Ukraine will be 3rd from the outside, very, very experienced quality performer. Jessie Knight of Great Britain 2nd from the outside, and Nafki of Greece in lane 9. The non-automatic time required is Sarah Carley. She's the 4th in those spots at the moment, 55.76. But all these women will have eyes on a top 4 finish and the automatic right to return for the semis. The favourite, Shamir Little, in 4. Away first time. Really intriguing race, this one. Jessie Knight's got good experience, 2nd from the outside. Catch-up down, looks like she's getting into a running, and it's a very, very quick start by Shamir Little, 3rd from the right-hand side. She leads at the moment. Has she gone too hard? Ryzakova not yet going past Jessie Knight, who's rallied well, although she took an extra stride or 2 into that barrier. Talking about the athlete 2nd from the left-hand side, but Shamir Little looking comfortable here. A big lead.
Tearing down the back straight. That's alarming for you as well. You come up on the hurdles a little bit faster. You've got to adjust your technique. And I think Shamir Little got caught there a little bit in between running a hard race and managing her effort.
Jessie Knight coming through really well to take that one. Shamir Little in 2nd. Ryzakova so experienced. Great to see her making the semis. Chishkova came through. Anadi of Morocco in 5th. And Anadi will take one of those non-automatic spots. Meanwhile, Holly Bradshaw in a little bit of trouble here.
Holly Bradshaw, 3rd and final attempt at 4:35. It was heartbreak for Holly Bradshaw in Eugene. She snapped her pole in warm-up. It was absolutely heartbreaking, and it set off a string of injuries that Holly Bradshaw has been dealing with. And here she is with the last attempt to stay in the qualification round. And there must have been nerves for Holly Bradshaw this morning, knowing those memories she had from last year. And it was a lovely moment in the pole vault community. Katie Moon came out very quickly, because I didn't see it myself, but there were people criticising Holly Bradshaw on social media, saying she was perhaps overplaying the drama of what had happened to her. And Katie Moon just absolutely shut that down on behalf of her friend Holly Bradshaw. Phew, 3rd time over 4:35. She stays in the competition. And Katie Moon, the defending champion, takes her place on the runway. Katie Moon gathering herself. She has been very consistent this season. This is her 1st attempt at 4:50. And there you can see the class of Katie Moon. It's 4:90, her season's best.
Great, she's turned into a fantastic major championship performer, hasn't she? She really has. She knows when to peak, and she knows how to do it. She's just got that winning knack at the moment. She's going to take some stopping.
But Moon is fairly honest about nerves. She does feel anxiety. She does suffer with nerves. She's very eloquent. She spoke about that at the opening competition in Doha at the very first Diamond League, and said, you know, I know I shouldn't be nervous. I'm standing here as Olympic champion, as world champion. Why do I feel this? But sometimes you just got to accept that. So the bar at 4:50 here in Group A. This is Vilma Murtaugh's 1st attempt. Looked absolutely untroubled at the previous height. Ooh, it was fine, she's over, but I was going to compare Katie Moon's jump. It was smooth off the top of the pole. There was absolutely nothing given away. It was lovely momentum, but Murto for me just popped off the top a tiny bit. It wasn't quite as smooth.
Well, Alison dos Santos and Rai Benjamin will be hoping their path over the barriers is smooth. They go in adjacent lanes, the second and third fastest men in history in adjacent lanes in the second semi-final. Talk about a semi-final of death. Those two will be the favourites to make it through to the final. They are two-thirds of an incredible triumvirate of excellence. Between them and Karsten Warholm, they have lit up this event for the last couple of years, and it could gear up to be almost as good a final as it was in Tokyo.
Oh, it certainly could. So here's my question for you this evening, Rob. Would you rather be in semi-final 2 of the men's 400 hurdles or semi-final 2 of the women's 100? Because they are both brutal.
No, I'm taking that one. I'm taking Rai Benjamin and Alison dos Santos. I'd rather be in that one. Hannah's referring to the semi-final that includes the 3 quickest women in the world this year in the 100 metres. We've got Sharika Jackson, Sha'Carri Richardson and Marie-José Tarlou all in adjacent lanes. It's even worse for qualification than dos Santos and Benjamin against all the rest in the second of their semi-finals. But do you know what? I was privileged enough to commentate on that world record and that Olympic gold for Warholm. There were only about 800 people in the stadium. There was no crowd. At the time, Hannah, I thought it would never be beaten. But you know what? I do think there's half a chance that Warholm would be the favourite for it at the moment, based on what we've seen on the Diamond League circuit. There is a chance he might just be able to go quicker than he did in Tokyo, and I never thought that would be possible at the time.
Let's hope so. So first attempt at 450 for Tina Schutte of Slovenia. This woman is so reliable. You just feel like a global medal is within her grasp. Very good on the circuit and very dependable in the championship environment, but time and time again, there's aspects like count back and minor differences that see Tina Schutte the wrong side of the podium. Slovenia might make her way back onto a global podium here. She did it indoors at the World Indoor Championships. And that's a smooth clearance there for me. I picked up a tiny bit for Vilma Murto. There was just it wasn't fluent off the top, it was just a bit of a clunk, and that kind of shows that everything is not totally fine. Murto got so much experience, it doesn't really matter, and at this height as well. But Tina Schutte, a nice smooth clearance at 450.
And there is the main man. Dan O'Brien said in a really emotive piece of television, a little montage, he said, and there's some Viking turning up here in Hungary. He has arrived, and unlike last year when he was kind of nursing a hamstring injury that he suffered with very early in the season, Warholm hasn't put a metaphorical or literal foot wrong so far. I swear that ditty has been seared into my subconscious. I'm going to have to actually find out what that song is and listen to it all the way through. Anyway, we turn our attention to the first of 3 semi-finals in the men's 400-metre hurdles. Ezekiel Nathaniel on the outside. He was 4th in Heat 4 with a season's best, 3rd in the NCAA. That's no mean feat. Kyron McMaster all over the British Virgin Islands, maybe even in the back cave in Tortola. They'll be watching and they'll be hoping their double Commonwealth champion, their iconic star, can get himself into the final. McMaster's the 8th quickest in history. Rasmus Mägi of Estonia, a really consistent performer, 3rd in Stockholm, made the final last year, final in Tokyo as well. CJ Allen has had a simply superb season. I think he's lowered his PB at least 3 times, down to mid-47s. 4th fastest in the world this year. He's gunning for a medal. Jaheel Hyde, I remember commentating on him when he did the short sprint at the Youth Olympics back in 2014, and he's graduated to the 1-lap hurdling with some aplomb. Commonwealth silver last year. He made the final last year in Eugene as well. Basim Hameda, Asian champion this year of Qatar. He's in the mid-48 range. Might need a PB to make it through to the final. Julien Vatrin, 5th in Heat 4. He made it through as a non-automatic qualifier. Remember how quickly he closed on Varholm in the European indoors. Got a silver. This guy can finish, and finish quickly. And on the inside, not lane 1, we go 2 to 9 in the semis. Mario Lambrughi, 6th in Heat 4, twice a semi-finalist in the European Champs. So he's on the inside in 2. Vatrin, Belgium 3. Hamida, Qatar 4. Hyde, yes, you're on TV. It's the World Athletics Championships. You'll have to watch it back. Hamida, Qatar in 4. Hyde, Jamaica in 5. CJ Allen.
Your marks.
For the United States in 6. Rasmus Maggie 7. Kyron McMaster in 8. The British Virgin Islander, the double Commonwealth champion. The 8th fastest in history. That's Allen. The USA, he's in 6. Nathaniel on the outside, the Nigerian who's performed well on the American NCAA circuit. Allen, you would think, in 6, and McMaster in 8. The favourites for the 2 automatic spots, and then there are 2 non-automatic places for the final across the 3 semis. This is going to be fast and very competitive.
Set.
Oh, it was a very, very long pause, and you know, you could sense the tension beginning to build there, Hannah. That wasn't immediately obvious from the naked eye. He made them wait a very, very long time before they got into the set position. Oh, Lambrughi, according to that graphic, it's the Italian on the inside in lane 2. Camera's focusing on CJ Allen. He'd be one of the favourites for this one. And that image tells you he knows it. Now, he can, in theory, run under protest. We'd have to see it again. It was a very, very, very long wait.
It was, and I was looking more towards Kyron McMaster, and I thought, yikes, he got a good start. But I wasn't looking all the way into lane 2, and it's been awarded very quickly here. A red card for Mario Lambrughi, and that's a shame. We haven't seen an awful lot of disqualifications here so far over these opening 3 days, but I think the Italian, he hasn't contested that. You could tell from his body language, from his facial expression, walking back towards the blocks, that he had made a mistake, unfortunately, here on the biggest stage.
On your mark.
That's such a shame. The Italians have got Sabilio going in the same lane in the 3rd of the semis. Right, Vatrin, Belgium in 3. He'll be the athlete furthest on the inside. Hamida, Qatar in 4. Hyde there in your picture in 5. CJ Allen in 6 for the United States. Maggie, Estonia 7. McMaster, British Virgin Islands in 8. And Nathaniel of Nigeria on the outside. Top 2 coming back for a blockbuster final in Budapest. This event is red hot.
Set.
This time, thank goodness, they are cleanly away. McMaster quickly into his running and up and past the shoulder of Nathaniel. Jaheel Hyde has gone out incredibly quickly here. He's closing down on CJ Allen. The question is whether he will have gone too hard too early. McMaster's got a really distinctive forward-leaning style. He's a lovely athlete to watch. Now Allen beginning to respond, and Hyde surely is going to come under some pressure after a lightning quick start. Little bit of tension in the shoulders of CJ Allen. McMaster's going well. The British Virgin Islander leading here. Jaheel Hyde is going to have to really dig deep here. Great finish by Rasmus Maggie. McMaster and Maggie takes the 2nd spot. CJ Allen, one of the season's outstanding performers, will have to wait and see if he goes through as a non-automatic qualifier. And look at that unofficial time. 47.72. That was quick.
That was great from Kyron McMaster. You could see the intent, the way he flew out of the blocks. He definitely wanted to run well today. And Maggi, that was similar to whenever the heats were. Apologies, all the days roll into one. I think it was yesterday morning. Maggi as well, he finished very quickly in his heat. So I was excited to see if the Estonian could re-deliver that today. But CJ Allen, that is a shock for me. Yesterday, I thought maybe he's running conservatively. He was trying to save energy for this stage, for the semi-final. But perhaps it is CJ Allen just not on his tip-top shape, unfortunately, so far this week.
Running almost a second slower than the new PB that he has accumulated, 47.58. So Allen with 48.44 today, and Jaheel Hyde 48.49 go into the queue room for now. But that was superb from Kyron McMaster. It really was.
Great. I love these shots here when you've got the other heats watching what went on in the first one. Volholm looking cool as a cucumber.
Well, we were doing a little jiggle here in the commentary box because all introductions apparently are being accompanied by live music. I can't see where they are in the stadium, but I'm reliably informed they are there. Thiago Pereira, Ibero-American bronze medalist. And to Chole Alba of Venezuela, third in the South American Championships this year. Two very, very good Chinese athletes in this one. Yao Qin Fang, 8th in the Olympic final 2 years ago, Asian indoor champion. Chris Bernard, he's doing a little jig of delight, 6th in London 6 years ago. He's been around a long time. Third in the national championships. I like that one. Good work from Chris Bernard, playing up to the camera. So's this guy, Will Clay. Remember, he was on the podium 11 years ago in London in the triple jump and the long jump. Brilliant performer, world indoor champion twice. Emmanuel Imiji, twice an NCAA indoor champion. He was 5th in Eugene last year. Looks very, very composed and very relaxed.
Back to the track for semi-final number 2 of the men's 400-metre hurdles. 8 athletes down there patiently waiting. We've already mentioned this round is stacked. Big hitters down there in the middle. Lane 9, Wiseman Were Makobe. Got lane 1 yesterday, the Kenyan. Total different side of the coin here, all the way out in lane 9. He had everybody to chase. Yesterday, nobody to chase today, but Makobe did very well to come 4th in Heat 2 in that unfavourable lane draw. How can he do today in lane 9? Alisson dos Santos, the defending champion, light on competition following that surgery on a torn meniscus in his knee. But he's looking okay with 2nd place in Monaco to Volholm. Dos Santos is going to need every one of these rounds to put the icing on the cake to bring his very best form here, hopefully all the way to the final. Mr. Silver, Rai Benjamin from the United States, 3 global silvers in a row. He would love, love, love to get his hands on the gold. He'll want all of his competitors in tip-top shape. He looked majestic yesterday. How will he fare in this semi-final? Now, Ludwig Wallon is the other high-quality athlete in this field with just two automatic qualifying spots up for grabs. Ludwig Wallon is going to have to run this like a final with Rai Benjamin and Alisson dos Santos outside of him. Kazuki Kurokawa of Japan goes in lane 5. Season's best yesterday to take 3rd place in his heat. Lane 4 goes to Julian Bonvin of Switzerland. He ran a season's best yesterday as well. He took 3rd in Heat 1. Great to see these athletes soaking up the atmosphere. Emil Agikum goes in lane 3. He was 6th in Heat 5, just getting a spot here in the semi-final on time. He's got a good personal best this season of 48.73. And the final athlete here in the 2nd semi-final, Zi Jiyu of China, new personal best a couple of weeks ago, 48.78. Highest stakes here. Our athletes talk so often about how the heats in the semi-final are more nerve-wracking than the final. And this race is certainly going to be A tough challenge, Ludwig Vallon. Big new personal best in the Monaco Diamond League, 47.85. He'll be delighted to be in the semi-final, but then probably gutted to look up and see the fastest men of all time, Rai Benjamin and Alisson dos Santos outside of him. The tall Brazilian, has he had enough time to get himself back from that knee surgery? This is his biggest test of the season so far. He goes in lane 8.
Sad.
No way, no issues here in semi-final number 2. Rai Benjamin with a fantastic start. He's up on Alisson dos Santos already. The Frenchman Vaillant being left ever so slightly by Rai Benjamin. He's going to have to get moving. As we move down the back straight, Alisson dos Santos perhaps getting into his running ever so slightly. When you look at the athletes rising over the hurdles, all 3 of the top seeds rising together. Dos Santos, Benjamin, Vaillant has had a brilliant back straight. Has he gone too hard, too early? Chavir cheers him on from the infield. His teammate taking part in a pole vault, but here goes Rai Benjamin. 2 flights left to go. Alisson dos Santos right alongside him. Dos Santos battled for the win in his heat. Will he relax here? Will he want that lane draw? Vaillant treading water in 3rd place. It's going to be Rai Benjamin first across the line. Alisson dos Santos. They are safely through to the final. What about the rest of the athletes behind? They're going to have to look to the times. 47.24 for Rai Benjamin, the winning time. Could be a season's best for dos Santos in 2nd, but there was a big gap behind.
All credit to Vaillant. He had to go that hard. He had to try and stay with them. The non-automatic times, by the way, CJ Allen 48.44 and Jahil Hyde 48.49. So by 1/100th of a second, Vaillant does temporarily go into the queue room, which means Jahil Hyde has paid for his quick start. No disgrace to Vaillant there. He had to go hard and try and close that gap on Benjamin and dos Santos. Cameras there showing Jahil Hyde exiting the queue room. Vaillant is about to go in there by 1/100th of a second. So Vaillant still has a chance of making it through to the final. But that was a brutal semi-final. It was fascinating watching them over the closing stages. Vaillant was valiant and did his best. And this was a good point. I thought dos Santos showed some good strength here, bearing in mind he has had an injury-disrupted season, and a meniscus is a terrible injury. Closed the gap there on Benjamin, although Benjamin was easing down. The 2 star performers delivered, and it's a wonderful, wonderful final in prospect, as long as the big Viking gets there in the 3rd of the semis. What a showdown in prospect.
These 3 men have been so entertaining over the last couple of years. And there have been those injury questions, those injury worries, the margin for error. Just have a quick look at the call room where the male discus throwers are patiently waiting. I wonder how many golf buggies are going to have to get these 12 lads over from the warm-up area. They're all big guys, and they have the bags with them as well. Christian Che was the winner last time round. He has improved his personal best this season out to that 71.86, joint 4th in the all-time rankings. And it's quite interesting this season to see Che go out to that 71.86. That gives him the very same personal best as Daniel Stoll. They are tied in 4th all-time. And for me, Daniel Stoll, he's got so much experience. He's had so many years over that 71-metre mark. I think he did it for the first time back in 2017. He's got so much to draw on. Czech was the athlete coming through last season on the up, but it's going to be very evenly matched between those 2 as we look towards that final.
Looking forward to that one. The big men going toe-to-toe as Thiago Pereira tries to get the crowd fired up on the far side of the stadium. Ready for his opening effort in this triple jump final. One of the favourites, Jaden Hibbert, but Pereira, another excellent performer. Good on the board. 5 times a national champion. Well, that's a modest start from him. He's annoyed. Ibero-American bronze medalist. Huge amount of excitement ahead of Jaden Hibbert. Hibbert is the world junior champion, the world junior record holder, the best legal wind jumper in the world this year. The left leg came down too early there from Pereira, which is why he was annoyed with himself. He's got 2 jumps with which to make the relevant corrections. Pretty modest so far, but the next jumper will cause a little spark of electricity on the back straight.
Interesting to see Will Clay up the top of the pile so early. He said in a press conference just before we started the championships that he's got so much experience, he doesn't get nervous anymore. He knows what he has to do in this environment. And from one end of the spectrum in his career to the other, Hibbert, he looks cool. He looks cool and calm, but surely he's got to be a bit anxious.
Well, the automatic qualifying line in the heats, or the qualifying, was 17:15. This young man was the only jumper to go over, and boy oh boy did he go over. 17:70 in qualifying. Anything close to that now and he lays down a massive gauntlet in his quest for Jamaica's first gold. No. Oh, now hamstring. Now let's have a look. Seems okay. The alarm bells were ringing there, because the last thing we would want from a neutral's point of view, we want to see this young up-and-coming star deliver his very best. Let's watch again. Watching for the first sign that he's not happy. I think it was just, I'm hoping that's just a light jarring, because he had to bring his run up to a premature end. 17:70 yesterday, which surely on its own would be good enough for a medal, but this is a learning curve and he might not have it all his own way.
And we talked about the conditions here in Budapest. It has been very, very hot and humid, and competing yesterday, dealing with, I'm sure, dehydration off the back of that, and Hibbert in this sort of environment for the very first time, perhaps he didn't quite nail his hydration yesterday.
Worrying times for Hibbert, no problems for Femke Bol, and the best of the rest. Really comfortable qualification from her, and Van der Vault making it through as one of the non-automatic qualifiers with 55.21. So too Savannah Sutherland. Right then, 2 of the 3 fastest in history have made it. What about the quickest of the lot? Trevor Bassett on the outside, 3rd in the US champs. Looked a little bit flat in qualification, just a tiny bit. He'll have to go out hard. So too Joshua Abuaka. 1 heat 4 in a new PB. 48.32, 5th in the European champs last year. Really exciting young prospect. Plenty of Germans in the crowd. I like the T-shirt. Come on, Eileen. Rashawn Clark, World Junior silver medalist last year. He was 3rd in heat 4. Only 19 years of age. What a stage for him to be performing on. Equaled the World Junior record in the Jamaican trials. Wilfred Hapio. He will have seen the great effort by his teammate Vaillant in the previous semi for France. 4th last year, just got out-dipped on the line. Now listen to the reception from this knowledgeable crowd for this man. The double European champion, the double world champion, the Olympic champion, and the world record holder, Karsten Warholm. He sprinkles a stardust wherever he goes. He wants to keep his powder dry, though, just enough to get in the final. Gerald Drummond of Costa Rica will have the unenviable task of trying to claw him back, 6 times a Central American champion. Yasmani Capello, the bronze medalist from Rio, yet again making a major semi-final. 36 years young, he's very much the veteran of this field. Former Cuban represents Turkey now. On the inside, Alessandro Sabilio made the Olympic final 2 years ago, but has a thigh injury, so missed out last year. Good to see him back to something like his best. He'll hope that lane 2 isn't a bad omen for him. His compatriot Lambrugi disqualified for a false start from exactly the same lane in the first of the semis. Sabilio in 2. CJ Allen can barely bring himself to watch. Allen occupying one of those non-automatic qualification spots at the moment. 48.44, and Vaillant 48-48. So, there's Varholm. Sabilio, the Italians, in 2, the Olympic finalists. Capello, Turkey, in 3. Drummond, Costa Rica, in 4. There's Varholm in 5. Hapio, France, in 6. Clark of Jamaica in 7, just 19 years of age. Abuaka of Germany in 8. Trevor Bassett on the outside. CJ Allen faces an anxious wait. He is the quickest of the 2 non-automatic qualifiers, but we'll have to pay attention to those. All eyes on Varholm in 5. 2 races away from making it a hat-trick of world titles. Well, Varholm loves lane 7. He's in 5. If you want to pay close attention, he's already closing down the gap on Hapio outside him. Bassett being closed down by Clark and Abuaka. Fairly solid at the moment by Varholm. Excellent running by the 19-year-old Clark of Jamaica. Varholm in the lead now. Hapio under a little bit of pressure. Bassett trying to come back into the shake-up for the 2nd spot. Little bit of a stutter there from Varholm. This is okay. Clark's having the race of his life, by the way, coming back towards the Olympic champion. Varholm, and look at the reaction on the line from Rashawn Clark, just withstanding the finish by Trevor Bassett. 47.08. I think by his own mercurial standards, he'll expect more from that, but he's safely through to the final. And Clark just managed to outdip Trevor Bassett. What a performance by the teenager to make it in to what could be one of the great finals.
And Trevor Bassett that time 47.38, way quicker than CJ Allen. But I do think CJ Allen will be okay because he was top of the pile. He will survive. He'll join his American teammate Bassett. No, he won't. He won't.
No, because Abuaka ran 48.39 to CJ Allen's 48.44. So one of this season's outstanding performers does not make the final. Bassett does, and so too Carsten Varholm. And what a brilliant run, Hannah, by that 19-year-old to come right back at Varholm towards the end. Great composure.
Brilliant off of Sean Clark. He was ragged yesterday. He was all over the shop. Good first 3 hurdles or so, and then really struggled. So he's put together a much better race today. CJ Allen, what a professional there, going over to say well done to one of the athletes that's just eliminated him from taking a spot in the 8-person final. Vaillant as well, absolutely devastated. He was so capable of making this final. We saw Vaillant a bit ragged today, a little bit emotive. I think that was Rashawn Clark yesterday. Today, he came back and it was all business. Varholm, I think the stuttering we saw in the last straight was similar to yesterday. He switched up, took more strides between the hurdles to conserve energy. You've got a choice. You either keep the same stride pattern and overstride, or you cut down and you do a few more strides. And maybe with that hamstring injury last year, Carsten Varholm deciding that taking more little strides was better. But that is the best Bassett has looked all season. He was the bronze medalist in Eugene last year. Look at the fight the American had here from lane 9. He knows he shouldn't be looking up to his side, but he can't resist it. Clark under so much pressure here, the 19-year-old, and he knows he's in that second place. Let's hope his celebration came in, because it was almost immediate.
And one of the reasons why, not only is he in the final, he has smashed the world junior record. 47.34 from a teenager. That's incredible. What an angle, and what a run from the Jamaican in second. Fabrice Shango, the Olympic bronze medalist, the World Championship silver medalist, gunning for glory here. He was below par in qualifying. Yep, that is an excellent starter for 10, as they say. It's not up to the kind of fireworks that we've seen from him at other times this season. Second to Pichado in Doha with a monstrous 17.81, but that is a good start by the Burkina Faso athlete. He's been a really interesting addition to the triple jump hierarchy over the last couple of years. Been brilliant to see his energy and his technical intelligence. Now we're into the 17s. The silver medalist hoping to upgrade to gold. He won't believe that 17:37 is good enough for the title, but it's a great way to start. Well, how about this for a lineup? The three fastest men in history: Varholm, Benjamin, Dos Santos. The 8th fastest in history, the double Commonwealth champion Kyron McMaster, also there. Roisin Clark with that World Junior record. Anything he does in the final is a bonus. Trevor Bassett made it with a PB. The Viking will be favourite, but he'll have to be on tip-top form, because that was brilliant from all the qualifiers. Now, back with this cagey start to the triple jump final. Yao Qing Fang, Asian indoor champion. He's looking for 16:37 to go to the top of the leaderboard. Well, they haven't really clicked so far tonight, and the same thing happened in qualifying, Hannah, with 8 men making it through to the final with sub 17-metre jumps.
We did see a struggle as well in the women's long jump qualifying. Women's heptathlon, they were fantastic. They all jumped some good distances. The final in the women's long jump last night was sensational, over 7 metres for Vana Vuleta for the win. So I do wonder if there's an element of getting used to the runway over there, that there's little quirks in every stadium you go in. And it doesn't necessarily mean that a track is slow. It can be the opposite. If a track's fast and it throws your rhythm off, I think sometimes that can throw up unusual results, but everybody's on the same bit of track. So they've all got to deal with the same conditions. Kleckner in the pole vault. The bar now up at 450. Oh, what a clearance for Kleckner. There's been some wonderful performances from the Hungarians here so far at the World Championships. Spence Halas with a wonderful bronze medal in the men's hammer yesterday. We've also had some great performances. Attila Molnar with a national record. And Kleckner here, so just below her own national record, but that sort of jumping, that sort of form, she's having a wonderful night. It's great that this qualifying, the pole vault, is on in the evening, particularly for an athlete like Kleckner. She can have the opportunity to compete in front of an excited crowd here. Look at our first heat for the men's high hurdles. The officials have diligently collected all of the hurdles round from the 400-metre track and repositioned 10 flights, raised them up a bit, put them on the home straight. Just 2 automatically qualify from each of these semi-finals, and every bit as dramatic and frantic as the 400 hurdles.
There's Grant Holloway. When he's in full flow, he looks like a computer-generated image. Such is his perfection, as we watch Tricky, who made a great effort to get an Olympic medal 2 years ago. He wasn't too far away from the podium, 5th in Tokyo. He hasn't quite soared to those distances this season, but it's been a solid campaign, 17:32. And once again, we're not necessarily seeing the best of these men. Django of Burkina Faso leading 17:37. But the biggest note of interest we've had so far is the outstanding junior, Jaden Hibbert of Jamaica, bidding for Jamaica's first medal of any colour in this event, which is surprising. James Beckford's medals, his 2 world medals and his Olympic medal, all came in the long jump for Jamaica. He just aborted with a hamstring problem. So Tricky yet to really fire, so too Hibbert. But now we turn our attention to the track once more.
First of 3 semi-finals behind their blocks. They're ready to tear their way down this track. Just Quay Mate goes in lane 2, indoor and outdoor medalist at the European level. He had a rough race yesterday, just a little cue for the Frenchman. There's 3 Frenchmen, 1 in each of these semi-finals. Damien Chikir was a very good 4th in Eugene last summer. I think it went a bit under the radar. The Polish athlete is very, very good, very reliable. He takes lane 3 here. Luis Francois Mendy is the second fastest time qualifier. He won Heat 3 yesterday in 13:18. It was a wonderful race, dramatic race, of course, with Rashid Broadbell clashing out, but Mendy kept his cool, crossed the line first. Daniel Roberts lost momentum over perhaps the 9th or the 10th hurdle yesterday. I mentioned there's a few athletes here, if they have a clean race, they could really threaten Grant Holloway. And Daniel Roberts is really one of those for me. Shinsuke Isumaya is the new national record holder for Japan, set that mark in their national championships. Now he, like Holloway, very, very reliable. Isumaya goes right in the middle of the field here. To his side, Tade Ajore goes in lane 7. He was in Heat 5, actually beat Daniel Roberts. Daniel Roberts hit a few of those hurdles. So Ajore, very technically astute as well. Max Herrera ran a personal best yesterday to make it through to the semi-final stage, beating Josquet Matei, who ended up over in lane 2 on a little cue. And the final athlete here in semi-final number 1, Orlando Bennett, 3rd at the Jamaican National Championships. Love to see that smile from a young athlete competing on the big stage. And thumbs up is just what we want as well. It was heartbreak for the Jamaicans, Rashid Broadbell crashing out, but they are represented here by Orlando Bennett. And of course, the Olympic champion, Hansel Parchment, he goes in the final heat. 2 automatic qualifiers and then another 2 on time. Daniel Roberts' lifetime best of 13 seconds, season's best of 13:01. When he gets it right, he's one of the best in the world.